In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a design like this and show you how to transfer it to a mug so that it looks something like this. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is a sketch that you'd like to transfer. Next, you're going to need some clay that is leather hard. For this, we're going to be using a mug. The next thing I'm going to do is take the paper and put it on top of the mug and then just trace over the outline of all the lines that I want to show up. This should leave an indent or like a faint indent on the mug when I'm done. So it should be a really good way to transfer my design without having to freehand it. You could of course freehand it if you want, and there are going to be some parts of this mug that I'm going to have to do that too, but yeah, this helps me to kind of get the placement just the way I wanted it to when I sketched it out before. So at this point, I've gotten most of my designs down. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see it in the light. There's been an impression of all my designs. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over it with pencil, and I'm gonna add in, because I obviously have some spots here and on the other side that are a little bit blank. My paper wasn't big enough. So I'm just gonna freehand some of those in and go over it with pencil. So I'm here at the point where I have drawn in all of the designs, and I put them all in pencil. I've gone over everything. I've made it whatever changes I want to make. And now I'm ready for the next step. Okay, so the process works like this. You would take slip. This is a blue slip, not protein, but a blue slip. All right, so I have a blue slip in here. And all my lines are gonna end up being blue. I could also do this with black or pretty much any other color that I want. But we're gonna do it with the blue because I think it's gonna show up the best. And I think it'll look cool. So we're gonna do it with the blue slip. So traditionally, I would carve these lines in, probably a little bit deeper, but you could do it with like the pencil, like the width of the pencil here. And then I will cover it. I would paint over it in blue slip. I would let it dry until it becomes a semi-leather hard, like the actual slip itself starts to firm up. And then I would scrape the surface, revealing the lines. Now, that way works, but I find that it's really hard to not like scrape the line out with your tool later on. So a better way to do that, once you have your design on, is to take some wax resist, right? And you can use kind of whatever you want. If you don't have this on hand, you can also do it the traditional way. So just make sure your lines are deep enough. So come back through, make sure your lines are deep enough, and then just paint directly on top of this. And the slip or ongo will fill the line, and then you'll scrape the excess surface away, and you'll reveal only the line. So I'm gonna take a brush, and we're just gonna paint it on, okay? And it shouldn't remove your pencil. It shouldn't do anything weird, right? You only need a very, 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 very thin layer of this. You don't need a lot because the pencil will burn out in the kiln and the wax will burn out in the kiln. And the whole point is that you just want it to resist the layer, all right? So we're gonna go over the whole thing. If you're using a brush, I recommend use a brush you don't care about, because this will totally wreck your brush. It'll completely destroy it. Okay, so we're gonna paint over the whole thing, and then we're gonna add one more step. Okay. So now we wanna clean our brush out really well, because otherwise it will be a disaster. Make sure your lid's on, because the wax will dry pretty fast, and you want it to dry really fast. So we're gonna wait, let it dry, and then we're gonna come back through and we're gonna carve back through our wax again. So it's been a couple minutes and the wax has all dried up, and that's good. Like, it's not sticky, it's not coming off, that's how you know. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a sharp tool, a lace tool or a needle tool, really any sharp tool, and I wanna come back through and I'm gonna carve through the wax back into my lines. And I know this is an extra step and it seems like a lot, but it makes it a lot easier later when you put the slip on to wash it away. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we are done with this, and I've gone back through and carved in all the lines. And there's a couple things you need to know about this technique. So when you do this, you want to take a brush and you want to brush out all the little burrs that are in the lines first. Okay, so there should be no like little dust in your lines if possible. And then the other thing that you want to make note of is the deeper the line is, the more likely the clay is going to stick into that line. And lastly, the wider the line is, so like if you have a big area and you just carve out a big chunk, the more likely it is that when you go to wipe the surface away, the engobe is, or the slip is going to get pulled out. Okay, and I'll show you what this, hopefully what this looks like here in a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lay the engobe on the surface. So at this point, I'm just putting the slip on the surface, trying to get it into all of the lines so that none of it comes out in the next stage. Okay, so we have the mug now. And this part is kind of fun, but it takes a little bit of practice. So take your sponge, get it wet, and then wring it out as much as you can. Okay, you want it to be damp. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna run it over the surface and change direction so that you're not pulling too much or getting the surface too wet. Okay, so you'll see as we go, I'll continue to wring it out. All right. And you can see that the wax resists the clay. Actually, some of these places are bare clay, and that's not the best because then I have to try a little bit harder. But the wax resists the clay, and we have to be careful, even here, not to pull the slip out of the lines that we've made. It's really easy. So this is why I said that the deeper the lines, the easier it is to do because you're not so worried about the clay being pulled out. So I'll just repeat this process until all of the lines are revealed and all of the clay on the surface is completely wiped away. In the end, it should look something like this. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and check out one of these other videos here or here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.